visits and corporate plays. We'll groove through it all in funky ways. So join us now, let's find our way. Listen to pips and pivots every single day. Ooh, get money, get paid.
Every time the beard grows out and the sideburns, there's more and more gray hairs. Every time. What's up? Welcome to another episode. I appreciate you tuning in. Let's see. God, it's so hard to fucking start these things. I would feel cheesy doing it like a real show. Like, welcome to Pips and Pivots, where we talk about I don't know, man. Yeah, so if you have input as to how I should start every episode, please add that in the comments. There you go. That's how I engage the audience. Like that last episode I posted, and I was kind of like freaking out about just, how crazy our political climate is in the US and all this shit that keeps coming up, and we just work like nothing's going on. More craziness has happened since then, which is hilarious, but it's from someone like me, it's good. So it's the good type of crazy stuff. So I'm happy about that. But it's funny, when I posted some of those video clips, I posted them just around on different places, and some people got really fucking heated. I had two people on two different platforms tell me that I was softer than wet bread, which is that's a pretty good burn, actually. I couldn't do it. It's yeah, that's pretty good, man. And I don't know. It's whatever. There's just it's funny, hard asses online that are just I was just seeing on LinkedIn just now. I was some woman had posted about how unpaid internships are exploitative, whatever, the word. They exploit people. And all that stuff, and of course someone's in the comments whoa, no one's putting a gun to your head to take an unpaid internship, and it's dude, fucking lighten up, man. I mean, can you agree that it would be better if people weren't expected to work for free at some time in their life? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if that didn't ever have to happen? So I don't know, it's just funny. So it's but softer than wet bread, I think, is I'm definitely going to use that one. So those things have settled down. Things are good. It's summertime, so my 9 to 5 work is a little bit slow. The side work is picking up a little bit, but that's fine. I like that, it's not super crazy, because I know it's going to change once everyone's back in school. I think there is something else I wanted to talk about. I forget. I made notes, so I'm looking at notes. Oh, but okay, subscribe to whatever, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, subscribe, and hit the link that's in the bio on any of the platforms. It has links to everywhere else where I'm on every site on the internet. Shameless. But also I have a lot of free resources. So I have this workbook for if you're a sales rep and you're trying to figure out what your next job should be, and you need a framework and you need direction there. I have a great workbook for that. It's free. The other one, if you want to get out of sales and you can't figure out where to start that actual process, I have a workbook for that. And then the third one, using my middle finger to count, the third one is the best one. That's the Path to Quota Calculator. So it's really just boiling down. It's using your data. So your conversion metrics, your attainment numbers, your quota, and then your activity, your historical activity numbers. And you just plug them into this calculator, and it tells you how many people you need to reach out to every day to get to your quota. So whether you're a BDR who's booking meetings, you're an AE that needs to generate so much pipeline, there's different versions of the calculator in the Excel sheet that you're given. So go to my website. It's if you click the link, you'll get there, or you can just go directly to the website. It's just my last name, dankow.ski. So my last name's Dankowski. So the website is dankow.ski. So that's D like Dankowski, A like Ankowski, N like Nkowski, K like Kowski, O like Owski, W like Wowski, dot, S like ski, K like key, I like igloo. I apologize for the dog. She's insane. So it's not just all meandering today. There is a topic for today's episode, and it's I need a drink of water. It's how to enable yourself and get better as a rep when there's like, frankly, way too much information online with like all these stats of, the best cold call openers and, what you should do, and people posting online that everyone seems like an expert. And it came up for a couple of reasons. One, like a coaching client, that was one of his things. He's like, he's a, newer in his career as a sales rep. And he's just like, and there's just so much information. Like, it's overwhelming. Like, one article says to, you should run your calls like this. Another article says to do it like that. Then I'll see someone post that says something that's totally different, how to run it. And he's like, and I just end up doing nothing because I don't know like which one I should listen to. And then what really teed it off is I was on LinkedIn today and I saw some guy, and he meant well, and he probably, I probably just saw it when I was in, like, I probably hadn't eaten or something, but he posted like, boom, here's the best sales sequence. And then like he left it at that. And I lit him up in the comments and I was like, no doubt this worked for you. I should probably find the exact quote. Oh, well. To paraphrase, I was like, no doubt this worked for you. That's great that it did, but here's why I hate your post. It was like, because this doesn't mention like who you were trying to contact. Was it, Fortune 500 companies, or was it just owner operator, HVAC companies? Is this a BDR who's using the cadence, or is it like a strategic account executive who should be using this cadence? Are you using this cadence targeting, people in the C-suite, or are you using it to target people at the director level? And the reason all these things are important, and I said this in the comment, is because someone earlier in their career who doesn't know any better and is maybe on PIP is going to just take this for what it is, and it might not be something that applies to them. So, and they're going to be fucked because of it, right? So, and I'm sure like I've done the same thing, but that's kind of, I guess it's going to be a short podcast because it's not like a hard thing to solve, but there's so much noise. It's hard to pay attention to everything. So think about like, first you have to have a really clear understanding about, your go-to-market. So who are you selling to? Like at what management level? Think about the management level. Like, am I a BDR trying to book meetings with people at the director level and maybe in the VP level? Or am I a strategic AE who's trying to create awareness in the C-suite and get a referral down to a VP or someone who's going to actually run an evaluation? Am I reaching out to SMBs with like 50 employees? Or am I reaching out to Fortune 500 companies with tens of thousands of employees? All those, the way you reach out and engage with clients at those different accounts and those different altitudes of management is going to be wildly different. And especially depending on your role too. Like, I'm working with a client right now, and, she's talking to me and I'm like, well, who are your reps reaching out to? Like, what's their ICP? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, let me rephrase it like this. How many realistic entry points do they have in an account? And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I'm sure if I asked your reps who they were reaching out to at these giant, these companies with like 3,000 employees, they'll say, oh, I'm reaching out to the CEO, which is fucking so stupid. Like, okay, someone's the CEO of a company with thousands of people, and here comes some business development representative from a fucking software company, like sending them an email about how they want to get 15 minutes on their calendar. Like, can you think of a more worthless fucking sales play than that? It's mine, but so many people are doing it. They think like, oh, reach out to, and it's like, no, there is a time and place to reach out to the C-suite and prospect into them, but having a BDR do it with the intent of getting a meeting is not it. So think about you in your role. Like, where are my entry points? Where are the actual people in these accounts that would actually book a meeting, that would actually talk to me? And then, really kind of like become aware of their profile. Like, what altitude of management are they at? Are they at the frontline manager, director, VP? Like, what altitude is that? And then what size is the company? And then also, what vertical are they in? And what is the job function? So verticals, you might have super traditional verticals like healthcare, where they're not super tech savvy. So the way you communicate with them is going to be totally different than if you're reaching out to someone in software at a software company, where they're used to procuring new tools all the time, and that motion is very familiar to them. So your outreach, even though you're reaching out to maybe the same title, because those verticals are so different in the way they adopt technology, the way you reach out to them is most likely going to be different. And the same thing goes for the role. Like, if you've ever sold into IT or security, those people fucking suck. Those are the worst people that God ever invented, really. They have zero personality. They fucking hate talking on the phone. And also, good luck finding a phone number for them. And also, they suck on LinkedIn too. So it's like, you got to get really crafty. So if you just see like the sequence that I saw today on LinkedIn, where this guy who was a director at like a really notable company actually in this space, he just did a chucklehead move. If you see like what he posted and you tried that at like at a big enterprise company and someone who's in security or IT, like, not only would you not like get the desired response from them, they might even become hostile. It's just that different how you reach out to people. So really get a good understanding of like how your people like to be communicated to and what's most effective for them. For some people it's not going to be phone. For some people it's not email or social at all. Like, if you're selling to people in the trades, like HVAC, building contractors, they're in a truck all day going back and forth to different job sites. If you're trying to email them, good fucking luck, dude. They're never going to look at their email, So not to say you shouldn't email them, but what's the purpose of the emails at that point? It's, maybe they see that, and then they also see that you're calling, and it drives them to pick up the phone when you call. So really understand that, and then really like pick apart the post that you're looking at, or this information, or even the article. Like, I used to work at HubSpot. I love HubSpot. I love their sales blog. I used to read it like religiously before I worked there, and I would still recommend anyone read it. But I would say take everything they put out with a grain of salt. So when they put out all these sales statistics, these great reports, they're pulling that from their customer base. So what kind of companies use HubSpot? Not big software companies. It's smaller companies are using HubSpot, and that's who they're getting like all that sales data from, that are telling them like, which type of emails work, which type of sequences work, that type of thing. So if you're reaching out to the same types of companies that are sales, I've been saying sales off. I meant HubSpot. It's a good thing no one listens to this. So HubSpot. Sales off, we got all kinds of customers. It's cool. And we do have a report that breaks down like, by vertical and by company size. It's pretty cool, but it's an older report. But HubSpot, if you're looking at all this HubSpot stuff, like, think of their customers, they're mostly small companies, real small companies, especially companies that are using the sales tool where they're tracking all those different sales metrics. So keep that in mind. Like, if you're reaching out to the same type of people, then yeah, you can really, hang your hat on those numbers. But if you're not, if you're reaching out to enterprise clients, or, you're selling at an enterprise company, it's going to be a little bit different for you. The same thing goes, a lot of the email stuff that you see, like stats about email, these are people that are doing basically email marketing. Where it's like they're not running one-to-one cadences with like social touches and phone call steps built in. A lot of times they're just running huge one-to-many email campaigns. So it's going to be wildly different than what you do. Now, it doesn't mean like there's not going to be some goodness in there, but it just means if you copy them 100% because your motion is so much different, right? It might not work for you. So that's the second part of this. Like really know yourself and know like, your customers, what works for them, how they should be contacted, what are their tendencies as far as like which channels they prefer. And then the person posting the stuff. So first, like, are they being specific in the post or the article? Like, oh, I ran this at to 500 different mid market companies in healthcare, and these were my results. You know, or do they mention it anywhere in the post? Look at the kind of company that they work for and what they're selling and who they sell it to. If you're selling marketing automation software and they sell, I don't know, like fucking printers, like you're selling to totally different functions within the organization, and those people like to be communicated to differently. So you filter everything through that. Like just really be skeptical and curious. And that's my advice to you. If you're really trying to pick apart like what I should listen to, what I shouldn't, and you're into like all these different, these tastemakers, these thought leaders, and all these articles, like really pay attention to like the source and what they're using and what they're selling and who they're selling it to, and if that aligns to who you're selling to and what you're selling and the company you work for and the size of the companies that you're selling into and the verticals and the yada yada yada, right? I hope that makes sense. So like just do a little bit of research and before you just see something and it's like, oh, this, I read that this works, so I'm going to do it and it's going to work for me. And it's like, just because you end up chasing your tail and doing too many different things. The other thing too is like once you find something that really aligns, that's it looks like it would probably work for you, like maybe just put the blinders on and just do that and don't do anything else. So this is the other thing that happens with all this information is you end up just chasing the shiny new thing, and you don't do one thing long enough to reach statistical significance to see definitively if it's going to work or not. So like I see this with my clients, they always, they just look at their cadences, they look at the meetings they're getting, and they're like, oh shit, we need to change this, we need to change that. And it's like, well, hold on, you've only put 50 people in here, only 10 of them have finished. Like I always tell them, we shouldn't do a single thing to this cadence until 100 people have finished it, have made it to that last step. Statistical significance. You're not going to know if something's really working until you've done it enough times. It's like if you were using a new cold calling script and, you used it one day, you reached 3 people, they all told you to fuck off and die slow really fast, and you're like, oh, the script doesn't work. And it's like, well, come on, man, you need to use it for like a week. You need to get like 500 dials deep on this thing, till you know it like the back of your hand to see if it really works or if it doesn't. So the same thing when you're reading all this stuff online. So let's say, now you have this heightened awareness about how you should use all this information online, which, by the way, we do live in an awesome time where it's like I have the answer to any question I've ever had in my head in the palm of my hand, right? So there's like, that's the good, but then there's the bad with it. And that's what we're talking about here. So let's say you kind of listen to this, you develop this heightened awareness as to like, this filter of the information that comes through. You find something that makes it through the filter, that checks the boxes, that resonates. Then the next thing you want to do is make sure that you stick with it long enough. So, you have to really commit fully and be like, I'm going to give this 30 days. I'm going to give this 500 dials. I'm going to give this, a full quarter and do it just as it's prescribed because, I'm identical to this use case and it worked in this use case. So it should work for me until you start fucking around with it, freelancing, doing all this stuff. So I hope that's helpful to some people. Like, another thing too is, and it's loosely related to what I've been talking about, but I would say like, think more big picture and broader. So think about like frameworks and methodology as opposed to granular little tactical bullshit things. Like as an example, people get really hung up on email copy and they really like dissect that and pull it apart. But think about this, like, a number of different things have to happen for your email to actually hit, the prospect's inbox and for them to actually see it. let's say a decent open rate is like 30%. So you're telling me there's a 70% chance they're never going to see your emails. So how much time do you really want to spend on perfecting that messaging, where there's all these other things that you should be doing to really like maximize how you're going to get in touch with those people? So really just be curious and again, hyper vigilant about, why am I doing this? Is this going to have a big sweeping impact? Is this like a big, kind of methodology and mindset thing? Or am I thinking about like a little granular thing that's kind of like, little, you don't have time for that. You're a big shot, right? So like one of the things I did, the person that I'm talking about, this coaching client that was kind of overwhelmed with all this stuff. And he's like, I'm reading all the articles and articles every day. I don't know what to believe. So I like pulled way back, and this is a book I haven't read, but I researched, and everyone was like, this is the book you want to tell the guy to read. And it was the one by Daniel Pink. Actually, someone bought it for me as a gift one time, and I was like, this looks boring. I'm not going to read it. But it's, I want to find the name of it. I'm looking on the other screen here. I think it's called like Everyone Sells or something like that. Early life, and God, how much harder can they make it to find? To Sell is Human. So To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. It came out in 2012. That's what I'll do. I'll put a link, an affiliate link, wink, to that book in the description if you want to, buy a book. I might make like 10 cents off of it. But yeah, To Sell is Human, The Surprising Truth About Moving Others by Daniel H. Pink. That's the book. So it's very broad, it's very general, and it's just kind of like a big picture methodology and framework about sales, and looking at sales as like a craft, and not so much as like talking about actual sales methodologies like MedPick or Challenger Sale, and really not looking at like little tactical things like email copy and phone call scripts and things, going way big picture. So I think it's more important when you're really trying to like master something, like really understand it at a foundational level. So I think reading a book like that and really understanding like the book I read that was like this, The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. It was kind of the same thing. It's like just understanding like what motivates people to buy stuff, and why would they buy stuff from you as opposed to someone else, kind of. So I hope that resonates. Yeah, it's almost like if you're learning a sport and you think back to like, in fifth grade when you first played football and they just kind of broke down the rules and you just kind of got this general understanding of like what it should be and what it shouldn't be. And then from there, you kind of get more complex. So if you're having a hard time cutting through the noise, consider just like checking out, not reading Twitter, not reading LinkedIn, getting a book like the Daniel Pink book, and then getting that good awareness and understanding about you, and in particular, like who you sell to, the size of those companies, those functions, those types of things. And then looking at all the content online through a filter that's, kind of like automatically calculating like, oh, this content is not for me. This content is sort of for me. This content is 100% for me. They're from my world, So just do that. So other than that, like have a good couple of weeks. I'm going on vacation. I'm working on getting guests again, but summertime has been hard. Like I texted one of my friends and he was like, fuck yeah. And then I was like, okay, just click that link and schedule it. And then, I haven't heard anything. So, but yeah, this just hang in there. I promise these things, it's going to be bi-weekly, but it's like the episodes are going to be meatier. It's going to be like a full hour. There's going to be guests. There's going to be maybe some segments. If you have questions that you want me to answer on the show, like put them in the comments, either in YouTube or Spotify. Just be like, here's a question, we want to hear you answer, or whatever, Just do that. Click all the links, do all the stuff. I really appreciate you listening to me, and you're awesome. I love you. Bye.